you have a smartphone, I want you to check later on today how much time you spend on it daily. Every phone should tell you somewhere in settings, but chances are this number for you, like me, will be shocking. Smartphones were invented just over 10 years ago, and since then they've rapidly taken over the world. Now over 90% of people in the United States have one, and they're drastically changing the way people communicate. In the United States, most children have access to a smartphone, and few adults realize how problematic this could be. They're the future, and misuse of these devices could really be a problem. Children should not own a smartphone, and their usage of them should be very limited and monitored. In this speech, I'll walk you through why smartphones are so dangerous for children, why this is such a big issue, and some solutions to the growing problem. Personally, I believe the biggest reason this is a problem is because of the privacy these devices offer. Smartphones offer freedom to access all sorts of content that should not be accessible to younger audiences. There's all sorts of terrible things on the internet, and a smartphone allows kids who struggle with rational decision making unlimited and unmonitored access to this. Smartphones can also interrupt kids' sleep patterns, which are very important to their development. 77% of teens use their phone or text when they're supposed to be asleep. Social media is one of the biggest problems in our youth today. 30% of all online time is spent on social media, and that number's even higher in younger generations. Global Web Index, September 11th, 2017. Katie Young, Strategic Insights Manager. Not only is it a major time waster, but it can also cause self-esteem issues in teenagers. 59% of US teens have reported being bullied online, most of which occurs on social media platforms. There's also unrealistic expectations portrayed on social media, which can cause depression in the youth and body image issues, especially in younger girls. 8th graders who are heavy users of social media have a 27% higher risk of developing depression. Bank MyCell, July 16th, 2020. Ash Turner, CEO of Bank MyCell. Another reason it would be the dangers of predators on social media. We've all heard stranger danger before, but it can be a lot easier for predators to reach children through social media. A survey of almost 4,000 children aged between 8 and 13 found that 43% are speaking to strangers online. Internet Safety 101, undated, Donna Hughes, Internet Safety Expert. This is all especially terrifying when you consider how much of a child's time is spent on smartphones. By the time they're 11 years old, over half the children in the United States will own a smartphone. Times are changing quickly too, as that number was under 18% in 2012. NPR News, October 31st, 2019. Anya Kamenetz, education correspondent. This issue is rapidly growing and must be addressed as soon as possible. Additionally, teenagers spend an average of over 7 hours a day on their phones, and that's as much time as they spend asleep. This absurdly high usage of smartphones in the youth has a huge effect on their development. As kids spend this much time on their devices, that leaves far less time for other activities. This means less time going outside, working out, having social interactions, and learning valuable life lessons. This could result in higher obesity, socially distant, and more overly smartphone dependent generations. We could have a serious problem with the youth development. Since this is such a new issue too, we really don't have an idea of how much this is going to affect them. Thankfully, there are some simple solutions to this growing problem though. The easiest and simplest solution would be to just not give your kid a smartphone. It's rather easy to do, and it'll limit their exposure to all those problems. A problem with this solution though would be that kids become bitter if they feel they're unfairly treated. And if a kid doesn't have something that all their friends have, they have a really tough time handling that, and it would make them really upset. So you would really have to make sure to make other aspects of life more interesting for them by giving them more sporting opportunities or other physical activities, and just spending more time with them. Doing a lot more fun things would go a long way, and this would show that you can have a lot of fun without smartphones. It would also help them not to develop the bad habit of using them too much. Another way to deal with this issue would be to limit and monitor their usage. This would be beneficial because they can still fit in with their friends and stay in the loop while maintaining a life outside of their phone. There are plenty of apps too, such as Bark, that tell you what's happening on the devices and use algorithms to predict behaviors and keep children safe online. Bark has saved 33 children's lives by alerting their parents when they're intending to commit suicide. Parents, June 11th, 2020, Brett Singer, writer for Parents. Setting time limits on devices and keeping them out of reach at night are great things to do because it makes it's a lot easier at night for children to engage in risky behavior. I personally set time limits on my phone apps and limits that won't let me use it past 11 because everyone should be doing this. There are plenty of ways to do it, but there should be some way that you limit children's usage of smartphones. Our youth would be much better off if we didn't give them smartphones at a too young age. Since phones are so accessible and so addicting, we need to be careful with them. Social media is terrible for children, and they're not capable of controlling themselves when given the freedom of a phone. They also dominate children's lives and end up taking most of their time, which is very harmful for their development. Most of us are going to have children, and I know very well that I would want them to have healthy habits that will help them succeed in the world. Cell phone addiction is the opposite of what I want to shape the youth. The end.